Rev up your engines! Okay, we got 2011 Jeep Cherokee, and this one's pretty good reason of why you shouldn't buy one. Now, it's the guy's mother's car, and it's low mileage, like 60,000 miles, so it doesn't have very many miles on it, but it's starting to fall apart. Now, no one knows why. You can see these wheels are okay. This one's starting to pit a little, but check this out. This is the original wheel. Look at it. It just went mental. The back one didn't, but that front one did. You can see they're pitted somewhat. And of course, the leather seats are ripping and tearing. That's no surprise, right? But the main problem is, it's got that Jeep death wobble. That it just starts wobbling around. He's had a ton of stuff done to it. He even left it at one garage, and they said, oh, we fixed it. We put new joints on the drive shafts, right? And he said it didn't fix anything at all. It's still got the speed wobble. Kind of shows you that a lot of guys out there don't know what the heck they're doing. Now, he admitted he only got this Jeep because it was his mother's, and he knew she didn't beat it, you know, and he got it cheap enough. But he's finding out that even at that price, it doesn't really matter. They're still poorly made. We're going to try to figure out where the death wobble came from. So we're going to jack it up in the air. Now the front really wobbles a lot at higher speed, so check the front first. He's already had the rotors replaced, this caliper replaced once, and this caliper replaced twice. And that's probably why the wheel looks like this. That's heat distortion. So that caliper would have been sticking on it. We get so hot, then it actually gets these to kind of burn. That's why that wheel looks so funky. Now we'll take a look underneath. The quality of these things, not so great. Look at all the rust. The entire suspension system is coated in rust. You can see the lower ball joint. You can see the lower control arm is all covered in rust. And the bushings themselves, when you push on, are dry rotted. Even the CD joint's all rusted away. He says he's getting the squeaking noise. Well, I've already figured that one out. That's a stupid backing plate. See how it's all rotting away? But really, if you wanted to fix it correctly, you'd have to tear it all apart. Put another dust shield. It's just a dust shield. Most guys, they'll just tear the dust shield off, throw it away. If they do any kind of work, it's not going to hurt anything. And that isn't going to cause a wobble. The wobble is more caused by, when it gets going at high speeds, all these rusted parts and these bushings, they're just not going to be tight like they're supposed to be. Notorious safer Chrysler vehicles are bad lower ball joints, but this ball joint, the rubber's not cracked, the grease isn't coming out. What you do is you get a giant screwdriver like this. You pry. Now notice it doesn't move. If the ball joint was bad, it would have gone clunka, and it doesn't go clunka. So there's nothing wrong with that, but mainly it's just that the entire control arm is all rusting away, and even the knuckle inside here, everything is starting to rust away. He's replaced all the tires. It's got nothing to do with the tires, and there isn't any particular play other than there's a tiny bit here, but they'll all get a tiny bit when they get a little older. And the caliper's not sticking, it spins freely. So now we're going to check the other side. Now this caliper on the side that you can see has been burned from heat. Check it out. It's sticking. Doesn't spin freely. Well, look inside here. And as I said, same thing here. The dust shield's all rotten away. It's not all that big of a deal. It just shows the shape it's in. This is just as rusted as the other side. You can see all the corrosion. And the rubber's kind of dried out. That's the problem with these northern cars. They just rot away. Ball joint test, this ball joint's okay. But he said the calipers were replaced only 2 months or 2,000 miles ago. So, we'll take a look inside. And as you can see, this caliper is just coated with rust. There's no way this caliper was replaced 2 months ago. Look at it. It's not that much difference than the rest of the car. It's all totally rusted out. And it's sticking. Look, I'm pushing pretty hard. It doesn't move. I gotta push as hard as I can to even move it. This could be the whole problem. It will get hot because it's sticking on. And then he says when he brakes and stuff, it'll start shaking on the wheel because one wheel's hot and the other wheel isn't. I don't know if I'd take it back to the same place. I'd probably take it someplace else. And I wouldn't trust them. They said they replaced this twice, and this was the second time. This is the other side that wasn't replaced recently, and you can see it's got the same amount of rust on it. I don't know if they put on a used part or something, but sure as heck wasn't a brand new caliper. This one actually looks in better shape than the one that they said they changed. He explained the whole thing, how they replaced the calipers on it, and he admitted that when he had that caliper put on, it was shiny, but within a week it was all rusty again. Now, they told him it was a new caliper. Well, it wasn't. It was a rebuilt caliper because the new ones are brand new metal and it takes years and years for them to rust. The old ones, on the other hand, are old rusted calipers that they shine up and polish and put new seals inside and sell them as remanufactured calipers. They're very inexpensive. I can usually get those things for like 50, 60 bucks. They're real cheap. And they might work okay, but it's just an old one that's been remanufactured, rebuilt, whatever you want to call it. And that's obviously what he got because it would still be shiny just a few months later, except that it's a rebuilt one. And that's just an old one that's been polished. Get an old piece of steel, polish it. It looks great. Stick it on the bottom of the car for 3 months. It'll be all rusty then because it's old steel and it's already pitted. It's got micropores in it that new steel wouldn't have. And it is sticky now. Didn't even last a few months. Now, to tell you the truth of the matter, I really think that the guys that worked on the car are idiots because those keep sticking. Something is making them stick. It could be that the ABS system is sticking on, the brake master cylinder is sticking on, the booster is sticking on, but for some reason, that side is sticking when this side isn't sticking, and that's the non-sticking side is still shiny, but the sticking side is all burned. Like I say, they didn't spray paint this. This is just heat because this is sticking, and that's causing his car to shake, especially when he's braking, because one side's hot while the other side's cool. So I would look at the root problem myself. You'd have to get a brake expert with pressure tools, hook it up to each side, and see, is that one getting too much pressure versus the other one? And if that was the case and it wasn't releasing it, it's either a bad master cylinder or it's a bad ABS system that's holding pressure in on that side only. Or the line itself. This is a car from Massachusetts where you saw everything was rusty. The brake lines corrode enough. They'll even corrode on the inside. And if they corrode on the inside, they won't release the pressure because there's a blockage. So they'll stop the vehicle, but it'll overheat while you're driving because when you let go, the only thing that releases the caliper is you taking your foot off the brake, and that's supposed to suck them back out. If the lines are corroded internally, it won't suck them out right, and it will stick and go just like that. They told them a drive shaft problem's doing that, blah, blah. No. The brake is sticking on, and that's what needs to be fixed, and they've already worked on it twice. And they obviously haven't fixed the problem because they're using rebuild parts. They're not even using brand new parts. And this one was under warranty. Ha! They gave the caliper a rebuilt one free, not a new one, but a rebuilt one. But they charged for the rotors and the pads and everything. To me, that's not much of a guarantee. They did a brake job with a bad part. They should be liable for all the parts. If the caliper is sticking, that ruins the other parts. But they didn't warranty them, which doesn't make any sense because that's what caused it. They also told me that they had to work on a cooling system, and then a few months later it overheated again, and they said, oh, well, we had to tighten the clamps and stuff, and they charged them for that after they'd done the work in the first place and then get the clamps tightened. So I'd say, first, go someplace else. But just in the general shape of this thing, you can see how it is rusting away. I wouldn't put too much into the thing just because eventually the lower control arms will break and fall off because they're all rotting away. The whole vehicle eventually will just rot away. They don't coat them that well. This is in Massachusetts. If it was me, I'd probably use it as a secondary vehicle. You know, they all rust here, and I got plenty of guys here in Rhode Island. They got a winter vehicle. They'd use this for their winter vehicle because it's four-wheel drive, and they wouldn't be driving at high speeds much anyways. The work that the guys did it's sticking again, and it was just months ago. They didn't do it right. They didn't find the underlying problem, and then they used a rebuild part instead of a new part. That's just plain insanity, that you're paying for stuff, and then they warranty it with the cheapest part they could find. I'm assuming it was a rebuild part. Maybe it came from a junkyard. I don't know. They could have polished it and put a junkyard part on. I really don't know. That's why you want new parts, and you want the proof of them, the box they came in, where they were made. You need to know that stuff. So there you have it, a Jeep that's basically rusting away. Yes, they do not prevent their cars very well, especially when they're these Chrysler LLCs like this. They were a little bit better when they were Jeeps, but then Mercedes took over and they started to get a little better, but Mercedes lost so much money, then they gave the company to this guy that was Chrysler LLC, who then sold it to Fiat, and then they started to go downhill fast. So you get something that's rusting apart that's only got 60-something thousand miles on it. They're gas hogs, they rust. Now you know why they just fired the CEO of Jeep. Because they're going in the wrong direction, but firing the CEO and replacing them with an Italian to top it all off, I think they are even going further down the wrong path. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.